Hello everybody. I am a little early on purpose, so we'll give it a few more minutes, see if we get some people joining. We got no viewers yet, so we'll give it a few more minutes. Oh, where did I put my coffee? I will be right back. I gotta get my coffee. I left it upstairs somewhere, but I'm here. I'll be right back. You need to be on your computer to get the commenting button. Alright, so I was just informed by the lovely Angela that I have a little bit of a buzz going on. I'm not sure what might be causing that, but welcome everyone that is here. I have a new feature for those that are here and want to test the chat. If you actually chat, it will show up over the top of the screen. So you can send me, if I say hello, oops. It should pop up over the actual stream. So in just a second or two, so people can see that. So now people's chats will remain in the actual video stream. What could be causing the buzz, I wonder? I almost wonder if it's just my fans and the computer that can be running in the room. But let me quickly look at OBS. Yeah, you can see that I said hello that showed up on the screen. So, alright. I was told the audio is soft, so we'll try and boost the levels a little bit better. Hopefully that's a little bit louder. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. I've got another minute before the start time, so I'll wait until I've got a few more people around before I get going. Looks like I've got 3 people joining so far. Hello, and welcome. Alright. My wife is doing a little QA for me today, letting me know if things aren't right. Really? Well, this is the mic. I wonder if test. Alright, so I'm getting audio. But my wife does say that there's a little bit of a buzz, and I apologize for that. I don't know for sure why. I'm running into a nice Tascam audio interface and then into the camera's side. I wonder if the audio cables are just not quite as happily seated as we'd like them to be. Just kind of check overall the connections really quickly. Alright. Well, if anybody wants to fire across on the chat, as I mentioned, I'm now past start time, so I'll probably get going here. I have a new feature that I've added to the live stream that when you chat, it'll kind of show up as text over the top of the actual stream. So I will kind of show this again really quick. If I type in welcome to the live stream, that should show up over the top of the live stream in just a second or two here, so that you guys see it. I'm also trying to I have a little bit of latency here. When I'm seeing the video over here and then looking at what I'm doing, it does get a few seconds for things to show up for me. So I don't know, maybe 10 to 20 seconds lag. So that means when you guys are chatting, there it goes, it popped up, and I can see it now. So if you guys are watching, you'll be able to see people's chat coming across, and you can kind of comment with each other as well, and I'll try and keep an eye on the live chat also. So effectively today, I'm going to move this out of the way now. Today I have a couple things I'm going to try and accomplish on the live stream. I would like to get my power section kind of sorted out here, and I also want to hook in my rectification. So this will be the rectifier board will connect in here, and then I will but I'm gonna actually solder things into it from above first, so that I don't have to fight it, and then once that's connected in, then I will be able to go from there. But one of the things that will also be is that this is going to come out to the bias, so I have to actually kind of look at this the schematic, the bias area, which is okay. So I come to the so the input comes into here, and then it goes through the 3.3K, and then the diode, then that also connects to the ground with this capacitor. That then jumps off to the bias pot, which will be here, and then the center tap of that bias pot should go, this is kind of weird on this one, should go to the bias point of the board, and then the other side will go to a 27K to ground. So what I don't get really is it looks like there's something in this center pot. I might have to look, I know this is a different kind of bias pot that has a back piece as well. So maybe I'll take a quick second, maybe you and I can kind of learn together a little bit about this. I will put this up here so it's visible. This is a little different pot than I'm used to make sure it's not got glare. The bias pot has the outside legs of it, you can measure as what your total resistance is. And that's 10.94, which is what it's supposed to be, is about a 10K pot. In fact, one of the things that I've told people I'm going to try and show is a little bit of detail. So we're going to look at, I'm going to pull this up really quickly on the screen, the schematic. I'm going to go back here, I'm going to hide my video on. What I might do is see if I can bring my display up. So bring it to that. No. To that. But if I go to OBS, I think I can make that much smaller. So we'll hopefully see the schematic over there. We'll see if that works. I can't see it very well myself now because I don't have a window open. Let me look if I can pull a window open on. I'll be viewing on this as well. Now we'll kind of pull up the live stream here on this one as well. Alright, so now you can see the bias. Okay, perfect. It just took me about 10 seconds to catch up. So, if you look up here in the corner, you've got the bias circuit that I'm looking at. This is the bias pot down here. And basically, if I go from the outer edges, it's 10K. If I go to the middle wiper, it doesn't matter right now, but that's going to be some value. So it's 5.3, it's roughly halfway. But that's the whole point of it, is the adjustable bias, is you can adjust how much voltage in. But what I'm curious about is what this back one, if it connects to any of the pot points, and if so, what does it give me resistance-wise? That's kind of weird. It's all over the place. Maybe not getting a good connection. 5.6K. 5.3. Wait, is that 5.3K? And I almost wonder if it's just another connection to the center tap. 5.3K. 5.3. It does look like it. It's identical. So what that back one is, it looks like it's just another connection to the wiper. And they have a resistor here also on it. There's a 15K resistor to ground. So that's not correct for what I want. Mine, it looks like you can see there's a 27K that's supposed to go off of this one, which I'm not sure what this one is as well. Let's look. So I'm gonna probably have to be redoing my class a little bit here, but we'll see. So it's a 72K resistor, and that's probably stock for the fender. So effectively, I'll be able to use this pop, but we'll have to desolder some of that stuff. We'll get to that in a minute. So what I'm gonna first do is we're going to turn on my fan. I apologize ahead of time, but I'm gonna turn on my fan so I can get the soldering going. We're going to solder in this board, and then we'll be able to mount it, and that'll be done. Then we're going to go to focusing on figuring out how I'm going to mount this. This is a part I'll cover in a minute. I've just been looking at it ahead of time and kind of prepping a little to try and figure out what I can do. But I'm also going to quickly take a look at this for a second. So just forgive me, I want that to be visible for people. So, alright, so you'll be able to see the schematic, but so what I'm going to do now is, I've got this soldering iron starting to warm up. I'm going to turn my fan on, so it'll be a little obnoxious, and I apologize, but I want to be able to keep breathing for the rest of my life. So move this out of the way. And so I will basically be first connecting these two in, and I'm trying to debate. I could go the bottom like this, or I could go from the top down. I don't know which one will be smarter. Probably the top down. We'll do one of those at a time. Alright. What did I do here? I seem to have wedged myself in there. Alright. So, let me clean my tip a little. And we will get started. Alright. So I'm going to solder this first one in. Hopefully I'm not blocking. Okay, so we'll let that cool off a little bit. And then after that's gotten the hard, switch over to the other one. So I do welcome you guys, by the way, to chat. Thank you very much, or the live stream. Thanks for being here. I have, it looks like to me right now about 9 total views, but about 4 people on. Everybody that wants to say hey, please do. As I've mentioned earlier, now that I've got a few people on, I've got a new feature that if you chat, it will show up on the actual live stream, so you'll be able to see what is being said on the live stream there for people what other people have been asking, and I'll try and keep an eye on the chat as well and answer any questions that come up. So, but basically, we've got the first one soldered. It's probably cool enough that I can now put the second one in. Solder that. Those are my 2 high voltage taps coming off of the transformer, going into the rectifier, and one of the things I had to do and didn't get around to today is my Heiko fan is in a bad spot somewhat. I put it assuming I was going to have things set in a different location than they ended up being, so I need to readjust that. But my fan is clear over off this side of the screen when I'd really rather have it kind of about, I'm trying to put it about in here, just above my hand here, up in this area, so that I can get a little bit clearing of the smoke. But it's still working. Now, one of the things I wanted to do is this has got a little bit of a funny knob still on the end of it, so let me clean that up. There we go. All right. So, next, this will go in here. And we'll solder that. Alrighty. So, what we'll have to finish with this board a little later is I'm going to have to, this is going to, now I need to run a small wire from here to connect to there. But I first want to get this in place. Well, actually, I'm going to think about this for a minute. Let me just make sure. I will actually run a bit of a, no, I'm going to run the wire now on that because I know where it's going first, which will be this pot into the top end of the pot. Let me actually look at the schematic of the Dumble, or the old baseman, because I want to quickly peek at what its bias circuit was saying it had. It was saying the bias connected from, red blue connects to a 470 ohm into that and over 10 gauge balance, 15 to ground. Oh, so I guess technically that is the wiper, so I can connect into the wiper out from there. But effectively, it looks like, oh, they were using it as a balance pot, which I won't. So that's why they do that way. Okay, so but they have a 3.3K. That's weird. I'm just trying to understand how the old circuit was wired. Because I've got this one random, is this supposed to be a 68K? You know what, I need to pull it out anyway, and then I can look at it, but let's get this out of the way for a second. Decrypting old schematics is a fun skill to learn, but I'm not, I think that being in circuit probably isn't a big deal. Alright, so let's look at this resistor alone. See what that is. $74K, it's supposed to be 68K, I think. And that's why it's just out of tolerance a little bit. So that's one of the 68K balance resistors, so that is definitely not needed. But effectively, I will come in to one end of this, and then the other end will connect on this circuit that I'm doing. Is going to go to ground, so through a 27K resistor to ground. So we'll hook that up. But all I have to do then is basically run a lead from here to there. So if you can see up on the top of the screen, you've got the schematic showing that we're going to go from the top of the basically the junction of this capacitor, output of that, and the diode, which is here, these two. I'm kind of blocking, but these two was going to come over and come to the top of this. So I just need to have enough of a red lead there to bring me over. So I'm just grabbing my red wire, pull a little bit of it off. I'm giving myself excess on purpose. But alright, so then what I'll do is this one definitely is fighting staying in the actual hole. But alrighty, solder that in. Let me see if I've gotten any questions. No, not yet. Alright. So I need to clean this tip, it's getting a bit crusty. Alrighty. Always trying to remember to be better at making it visible for you guys. Alright, there we go. Let that harden a little bit, drop and cool down. So, I would also definitely like a little bit of feedback on these. Let me know if some of this is not as interesting for you to watch, so that I can kind of adjust my content accordingly. I definitely don't want to bore the crap out of people, but I want it to be interesting. So, alright, I gotta put my spacers down. I like to put spacers down and lift these boards up a little bit above, instead of putting them down flush on the board like Fender does. It gives a little bit of room for reduced chance of anything like arcing or connections that shouldn't be connected. So I do want to trim my bottoms of these. Let me get my little snips now that I've soldered that in. I'll trim the leads away. Alright, get that screwed back. Alrighty. There we go. Nope, stop. I've got some hot washers or nuts here. Get a screwdriver. Just getting started. I don't want it super tight yet. I just want to get started. I'll tighten that down in a minute. Same with this one. Sorry for blocking the view for a minute here, but I'll worry about getting those snug a little bit. But look at that. And now I'm kind of thinking, okay, so first I'm going to do is I'm going to bring that around. It needs to be about here. We'll hook that into the top end of the bias pot for now. So what I'm going to do here is I want to create a bit of an actual physical connection. I got to kind of clear out a little bit of the bad solder that's in there, and then I can put some fresh solder on it, and then I'll dress the lead dress a little bit. Oh, actually, I need to clean up a little bit of that solder. It looks like it's bubbling most, so I'm going to get the solder sucker out. Let's cut this tip. Produced, we got rid of that excess solder. Some of it, I'll get a little bit more. Alright. I've got rid of the extra solder, and now I'll quickly just touch it with a little bit more fresh solder. There we go. That's better. Alright, now I can tuck this stone out of the way, snip off the excess lead, and my high voltage comes out of here, so I really should probably, that will connect over to, I believe it's just the entry point here, so I actually just need to get myself enough wire for that, and I should have soldered that in before, but it shouldn't be too hard to get in there and solder it at that angle. We'll see. One of the things I've learned is that the wire is not too expensive, and it's easier for me to have to cut off an extra inch or 2 or 3 than to come up short, which I've done many times, and it's quite frustrating. So, all right. And this is one of the things that I need to be careful of, is not shorting things out. So that's why I should have soldered it before. But what I'll probably end up doing is pulling that back up in a second and just trimming that off. But let us quickly solder it in for now. Because if I have my high voltage right there going straight to ground, that's not a good thing. Sorry, I'm going to block this a little bit. But was that cool? And then I'm going to be pulling these back off again, since I realized that I didn't want to put that down until I had cleaned it to the bottom. So then we'll pull that over to where my high voltage comes in and hook those up as well. We now have a correctly connected bias board and rectification board, but put these over here for a second. What I'm going to show you is, this is a trap for young players. See how that's sticking out? It may not have touched there, but I don't know, and so it's better to be safe than sorry. We're going to snip that way, and the leads that are coming off of the rectifier or diodes as well, and hopefully you can see that now. I've cleaned that down and there's no chance of it touching, and I should have done that beforehand, but at least we got it done correctly now. So now we will go back and remount this onto the chassis. And this is pretty much where I'm at for the rest of the build. Hopefully this is interesting stuff, but I'm going to be effectively just putting more of these components on the board and wiring them in. So hopefully it's, oh come on. The standoffs are just jumping around. Okay, live. The wires are having a bit of a fighting spirit, fighting me to not want to go down there, but I'll win, I promise. Alright, now I can get this down. Confused. It's like these nylock nuts are the wrong size. They don't seem to be actually tightening down, or I've got a bad nylock. I'm not sure which one it is. I might be using it. Let's see. Let's look. Read the thread pitch on these. These are H32s. That's why. These are 6s. I've got the wrong ones. Alright, so I will fix that later, because those are the wrong type of nylocks, and I don't know if I have some nut around, but I'll fix that later. Alright, so next, now that we've got the high voltage here, what I'm going to try and look at is, I have to run a couple of things here. I've got a choke that jumps between, I'm going to pull up a part of the schematic for everybody really quickly. Actually, this isn't schematic. So, let's zoom out of it. Now we're going to connecting in my power filtering, which is through here basically. So I've got, instead of two 300s with 350, I've got a 500 150 microfarad at 500 volts. And then I've got only the single 270K resistor across that. I removed the standby so that it'll connect really the choke. And the choke will jump to the next group, and that's what these black wires are, is the choke. So what I will do is the shorter lead is going to connect effectively into, so the way that I'm doing this, I've got the negative is part here, and the positive is then over here. So I won't consider this a super safe ground because this is not going to guarantee to be safe and tight all of the time forever. So what I'm going to do is I will put the ground into that one, but I will also run a black wire off and connect that to another ground just to guarantee I get a permanent, well-seated ground. So, but this is the power filtering. This is the first stage right here. I need to find my 270K resistor. I believe should be over here somewhere. I'll look really quick. Oh look, it's the first thing I grabbed. Alright. So my 270K, oh no, these need to be 2 watts. That's right, these are the big beefy ones. Those are standard 270K. Because this is a dropper resistor for that high voltage, so it needs to have some current in it. Even though it's a high 270K, it also needs to have a higher 2 watt resistance level. So just looking for that really quickly right now in my pile. One of the things I've done is I've ordered all the resistors for this, and there were a lot of them. And so I haven't put my normal parts bins where I could just go, oh, there's 270 and pop it out, sadly, yeah. Which makes it a little slower for you guys. But 30. There we go. 2 watts, 270K. Here it is. I got 2 of them, but that was because I forgot that I don't have two of them now. Like you can see on that, I have only 1. So, all right. So there's those. So what I'm gonna do is just get one of these. And then the other one I put back in the bag. Alright, so I'm going to do that one first, and it's going to basically go in here between these 2 points on this back side so that I've got, this is what's called a balance and a drain resistor. It makes sure, if you have dual, which I don't have, it makes sure both capacitors load evenly so that you don't have a massive inrush on one. But in this case also, because they go to ground, it also allows, once the circuit is turned off, for the capacitance to drain back out again. So, alright, so that's about the right shape and size of it. No, not quite. It needs to be closer. Alrighty. So what I want to now see is if I can easily get this in there as well, and I can. And then I'm going to also want to put in this one side of the choke. Alright, there we go. So that means I've got half of the choke connected into that point. I've got the resistor into that point, and then it goes to ground, and I need to bring my red wire into that point as well. So actually we'll pull that back out. Actually, this one's going to fit pretty easily, I think, at the bottom. There we go. Alright, so you won't be able to see that super well from this angle, but I'm now going to get in there with the soldering iron and solder those in. Can't really see how well that's anchored, but it seems pretty well anchored. Alright, so like I said, the other thing I'm going to want to do is I'll first snip away my lead here of the resistor. So that should be my... And one thing I'm going to do as well is I will put some silicone underneath this to give it a cushioning spot so that it's not going to be vibrating loose. But I need to put a small black lead inside that side, and I didn't do it before, which means it'll be kind of fun to get it in. But I will succeed. I believe in myself. For those of you that may have joined a little later in the stream, if you want to say hey on chat, I've got the chat set up so that it will actually show up on the stream so people can see you saying hey, and I will be following chat and trying to keep an eye on that and saying hey to people as well. So please feel free to give me a shout out. Oh, yep, I didn't make this hard. I'm not seeing an easy way to get this grounding wire in. Tweezers here. There we go. I'm basically hooking it on the capacitor has what are called snap-in terminals, so I'm hooking it onto that snap-in terminal. Alright. That's just my ground for that, so we'll solder that now. I have to solder left-handed. Sorry that you can't see this. I try to think of the ways to make sure we get all angles available, but I don't always succeed. This is going to be blocked from your view, but alright, I think we've got good connection there. Alright, so you believe in me. Hi Angie, that is the lady you've seen in some of my other videos. Has helped, she's the one that did the champ. And you can tell me if it seems to show up on the on the actual video as well. I'm watching the public, might take it a second, but proof in my fancy work here. Oh, I realize now also that my little second camera on the laptop is really pointing off at a bad angle. Let's try and point it more towards where I'm at as well, so you get a side angle of the shop. Alright. All right, I'm going to take a quick second to look at something here. Oh, it is showing up. Okay, cool. I can see it there in the bottom right corner. Put the schematic back up. You guys can see the top corner. All right, so the next step, I need to trim that now that that's hardened, is going to be to connect the other side. So this is the part in this that's been a little tricky for me, is that I have spots where I could, put these in, but it's super tight in this area. So I've been debating going somewhat like that. If you can see, I don't know how clear that is. I might trim in a little bit here. Adjust the view. Sorry for the squatting here. It's not going to be awesome view, but right here basically, this doesn't line up perfectly, but if I try to push too far over, this one ends up fighting bolts from the power or the output transformer. So I don't want it too close to that, because if we touch that, we have a good chance of grounding out things that we don't want to as well. So I'm just trying to kind of find a sane, balanced way of doing that. I might even get a small amount of shrink wrap over that lead right there so that it can't touch, and then I'll be comfortable just setting it fairly close to there. And then again, I will also put those down. And then the last thing I have to do as well is find a way to ground those. There is a on the schematic for the Dumble, he has some very finicky particular grounding points. There's like 5 specific grounding points to make sure that there's no loops that can happen, especially with an overdrive on this amp. You need to make sure that there's no chance of feedback hum coming in through, or a grounding hum, I should say, coming through a grounding loop. So in that segment, these guys are supposed to be grounded in an area called 2. 2 on the layout is basically also where the power tube all grounds together. So I effectively am going to want to couple these 2 together and then run a nice connected wire to them and then bring it over to where I ground it over here. So I'm trying to kind of figure that part out right now, but that is the kind of fun I'm facing with that. So all right, so let's see. So we do have this one in now. I've got the ground for that. That's supposed to go to 4. Let me go back to 4. What was 4 at? 4 is... that is clear over by the power transformer. That's going to be one kind of over here. Seems like we also are supposed to ground this to it as well. Let me zoom back out because I'm talking to things you can't see. Just making sure focus. All right, so basically there's going to be a ground that I'll be putting over here somewhere as well, and it grounds the main, this one here, as well as this one here. So this will kind of creep over and connect somewhere here. In fact, it's possible I might just use this ground point right here. It's soldered down and near a bolt, so I might just kind of bring both of those over and ground them there. All right, so this is coming along. Let me think. I do need a 2.2K 2-watt resistor between these as well. The jumper's between the 2 of them. And we, as I said, the choke will also have to come in and connect into that one, so we're going to get that going. I think this is going to work for us like this. So I will first get some shrink wrap on this. Where's my shrink wrap at? There it is. Effectively, I don't need a large size one, but I'm going to put red on it so that it's clear that this is high voltage. So I'll effectively put some shrink wrap on it like that. And I was trying to see how much I want. All right. This should be enough. Of course, that fell in the wrong bin. All right. That is just, since I'm near that bolt, I don't want to risk it arcing and causing problems. So I will do that. Now, of course, I made it a little too long. Try to see a little bit now, because I want these, due to my semi-anal retentiveness, to line up properly with each other. So. Well, I still need a little bit of lead cut off of that. Just trying to. I'm fighting this. Let's just give ourselves a little bit more room on this one. So, rather than fighting that, I will just quickly realign this so that it is about as close to there as I can get it. I have to be careful, because if I keep rebending these leads, I might snap them. All right, let me find my 2.K. Was at 2.2K, 2 watt. There it is, right there. Cool. We got a quiet crowd today. Nobody seems to be chatting. Oh, it's a bummer, because I thought that was a pretty cool little nerd out that I did putting that on there. All right, so wow, I can't. choke also needs to go in here. Bingo. Oh, get some crusties on that. Clean tip. Remember, clean your tip. Alright, now I can't quite connect the next one because I have to have a... Oh, and you know, I just did something silly, but I should be able to still deal with this. I am also supposed to connect the lead from that off to B+2, which is... where is B+2? That's going to be the power supply probably somewhere. Yeah. So that's what connects to the screens. Pin 4 of all of these. So pin 4 is... I think I've got a... Where is it? Trying to figure out where pin 1 is on. Here's going 2 and 7. Okay, so I think pin 6 is normally unused on these. Yeah, it is. So they're connecting this. So that's this one. This connects to pin 6 of all of them. Jumpers with a resistor that's already there. That's the, I think this should be 470. So let's double check those are right so that we don't have to hopefully make changes on those, the power resistors. These should be 470 ohms. So I will double check that really quickly. Yep, that's a 70 ohm resistor. Make sure they're within range as well. Just check them all. 524, I think that's within range. Wow, 570. I wonder if I bought some new ones of these. These are all... Oh, that's not right. Well, that's only 960K. Or no, those have all gone up. Alright, so that means I will need to carefully replace those. And I might have bought some 470K. I don't remember if I did, but let's look and see if I have some I need four 470K, what's it saying, 5 watt? Wow, I don't think I do have 470K. Okay, so that is something I will definitely want to replace. I think I was going to use those. But let's look at that. If you look, I can actually... We'll look at that again, but the first one is reading 470 almost on the spot. The second one is a little high actually, 530, but I think that's still within tolerances because these are usually 10%, I think, maybe a 5%. If that's 5%, 1% of 470 is 4.7. So times that by 5. So about 25, they can be about 25 ohms out, and 470 plus 25 doesn't even get to 500. That's over. So these are out of spec pretty badly. This one is as well. And this third one is way out. It's almost a meg. So I will be definitely replacing all those. Now I guess while I'm looking at it, I have the 1.5K resistors. That's 1.7, that's 200 meg out. That's not great. They're old carbon comp ones too, and I'm not usually a fan of carbon comp, but I've got some 1.5Ks I can replace these with. But needless to say, that's 1.5, that one's pretty good. I can actually still connect this lead, which comes into them, into that point that I should have here. So I might just do that really quickly while I'm at it. So I'll have to look at those. I'll do that offline a little bit so everybody's not staring and waiting. All right. All right, so Phenom's got me a little feedback. What is this? Clear shot of the chassis. You need to move the schematic shot and make it larger under the screenshot on the right. All right, I will do that. Let's make that. So you're saying, especially this area down here, I'm not using as much, so putting it kind of down in here will be better. All right, I'll do that. Make it larger. So we'll grab that over here. Make that larger. Hopefully that works. Tell me if that works a little bit better for you. Thanks for the feedback, Phenom. Phenom1 or Phenom, I'm not sure if I'm butchering that. So let's see. One of the things I might look at doing is getting myself a second monitor down here so that I can play with these controls off screen and not on screen, but that's okay. Anyway, that's not neither here nor there. So I'm just trying to fight this. Although I better double check. I think that might make my chat need to be adjusted as well. Chat is at the bottom. I want to right over the top of this, so I'll bring that kind of in between. It's here. Chat with. And yeah, I have that back up. All right. So let's see. What was I doing? Oh, I'm trying to get the B plus to come in to, when we're looking at schematic, this B plus that's B plus 2 goes in at this first capacitor. Oh, well, look what I just did. This is what happens when you repeatedly wiggle a wire. All right, I'm going to try and resolder that later. I need to, I like this off. I'll have to replace these anyway, so I'll remember I'm going to have to bring that in. I'll worry about that later. So for now, what I will quickly do is trim my leads. Alright, so we got the choke input coming into that. I will have to come back in a bit, and I can possibly actually, there is a on these tag boards, you can look, there's the top one and a bottom one, so I just bring that in for the bottom and then bend it across and solder it from the bottom side. All right. Next part is the B plus 3. Let me look at the, oh, up higher? Oh, okay. So, you know what, maybe I will do that. This extra camera is that super important up at the top, so let's do this. Put this down here. We'll see if that keeps out of the way. Put this up here. Chat in the middle. Bring it down. About there. Is that a little bit better? Hopefully that's a little bit. Oh, and then the meter will be blocked. Oh, and actually the meter won't be blocked now because I moved that. We'll see. I have to give that a second to. Yep, the meter will be visible. All right, cool. Let's see. I was going to look at the schematic. B plus 3 goes where? phase inverter? It is. So that goes into the phase inverter. So effectively, the phase inverter, B plus phase. Okay, so that's going to go to the board. So I will just need to kind of run a wire from here down and over to wherever that is going to be on the board, and I'll put the board in later. So I will leave that soldered for now and left alone. What I'm going to do is tie these two grounds together. And then connect them with a kind of a grounding wire. And then I'll, what did I say? Those ground to, we look, oh, and I didn't, after that, I didn't actually put back up the schematics. Sorry about that. Alright. So, alrighty. Next is the ground there. So I will create, so what I'm going to do is I will solder it into the base here. Then I will kind of snip this lead out of the way, and then I will put a shrink wrap down from the top end down over that to kind of cover it as well a little bit, just so we get a decent cover. And what I was trying to look at is that ground for both of these guys goes to 2, which was, I think, the one that I was going to say over here as well, if I remember right. So, oh no, the 2 was, this was going to be 4. 2, what was 2? Let's look back at the layout for that really quickly. 2 is, that's the one near the power. Oh, okay. So these grounds, I'm going to want to run, I might run these grounds to this one right here, because that is basically, let's see, I don't know, gotta think on that one. My power regulator, by the way, will probably end up about here, somewhere in this area. We'll get to that in a little bit as well. But anyway, let me finish the ground wire. I'm just trying to figure out how much wire I need, and I might need about that much. So we'll give it a lot of wire. I'm going to give myself a lot of lead on this as well, because I want to effectively really wind that around well. Alright, so now we'll solder that in. You'll notice when I'm soldering stuff like this, I put the solder in from the opposite side. That's on purpose, because I want to make sure I'm getting good solder connectivity. Alright. Alright, so next, I will get me a bit thicker. Excuse me. Gotta let that kind of cool off a bit. So I'm going to sip it right about here. And then I will get thicker shrink wrap. That's not enough. This one is a bit too thick. Let's try this one. Yeah, that looks good. Let me go for a black one. Looks good. Alright. Good to go. All right. So I guess one question I have is I've got about looks like a total of maybe 4 viewers now. I am getting at about the hour point where I tend to cut them because these get a little bit longer than an hour, and I think they start making the attention span losers for people watching. Let me know though if you guys that are watching would like me to keep going, or if I should kind of cut out at this point. I'm getting a little tired, but I'll keep going another maybe half an hour. People are really interested in it. I don't know for sure if people are or not. So I'll give it a few minutes here while I'm thinking about this to let you get some feedback on that. That will be running off to the ground somewhere. All right. So I'm just trying to think in my head for a minute if there's anything else I want to do. I might actually be at the point where I want to stop anyway because I can't think of what my next steps are going to be. I started kind of drilling out my holes on this back side to put this board in, but didn't get finished drilling the holes. So I'm going to wait on that a little bit, but that would be not too hard to hook up. One of the other things I was trying to think through, let me move the meter, was I have my input jacks that are going at the front that are kind of almost barely off screen here. Then I have a switch. I don't want to drill too much into this chassis. I'm going to kind of leave it as is. So there's a switch that was I think it's like the deep switch at the beginning. It's just a slide switch or the whatever it was for that input. In the actual layout of the Dumble, I'll want to pull that up and make that visible for you guys, I think, on screen. We're talking about that area now. I'm going to first pull mine up so I can talk about it. I have a different screen as well, a different computer that I'm watching on. So basically we have in the Dumble layout, pull that up. So here is basically what I'm talking about. So we've got the input jacks. We've got this is one of the areas I might be tackling next because I want to get everything that's inside the chassis done before I start putting the big board in and then connecting things up. But basically I have to kind of figure out, I have my 2 inputs here. And then I've got this switch that's one of these slide switches that would be more either the deep or the rock. So I might put that deep switch here. Then I need to put a bright switch somewhere. So I might put that on the other side of the volume. And I'll have to kind of figure a way to bridge that because this is a huge hole that's for a volume or whatever. So this is bigger than the switch that I have. I've got one of these kind of small single pole, single throw type switches. That'll be the bright switch. And then I'll need one more, and I have that other one over here. I'll probably remove this, and then I'm going to have to find a way potentially to kind of make a hole that I need for that here as well, which will be fun. I might be able to pull that off with the Dumble, but we'll see. And bring that over here as well, and that would be the rock jazz switch. So those will be potentially what I'm doing there, but I do have to do that. Then I'm also going to, I'll have my treble, middle, and bass here. But I do have 2 more here, which will, so I might do treble, middle, bass here. Or I might actually put overdrive, and there's an overdrive level and an overdrive ratio. I might put those 2 here because I can have treble, middle, bass here that are already there. And then the very far end here we have a master volume and the presence. So anyway, I have to kind of figure out how I would like to do that. Master presence is usually off to the side a bit anyway. I don't know if this was the master volume or if it's on the original amp, but it'll be one of the 2. So I'll probably do some more planning of that offline, not in the actual session. Yeah, Phenom, thanks. That's kind of probably a good idea, so I don't ramble on too much. But yeah, so I think that this is probably a good stopping point. So I will go ahead and figure out what my next steps are to get the control area ready. Another thing I have to do this week I didn't think about this, but one of these will work just fine for my normal input. But the FET input, if we look at that really quickly, is kind of tricky. The FET input is, if you look, the input connection here And then what I might do for a second, because I don't need this shown, is I might actually make this full screen. Let's go ahead for now and resize this to full screen. The touch screen on this lock, or the mouse pad is locked on this board. Alright, so basically if you look here, the normal and the FET has a very complicated, it's a stereo jack with switches on both stereo connections. The reason for that is that we have to connect the input of the FET off of the tip as normal, and if that is jumpered and connected, then that allows the signal output of it to connect into the normal's switch. The switch is connected to the tip, so it will also just go in and work. But if you connect the normal one in, that would then disconnect the FET, but you want the FET to still be kind of grounded and not making noise. And so it's basically kind of needed to have that extra switching, double switching on the FET to make the FET be able to be jumped straight in without requiring special switches. So that's another thing that I have to buy, and they're not horrible, $3 or $4 I think. So I'm going to be ordering one of those. I probably need to take that off completely, and then so I'll just put like normal and FET in here in the front as well. So, all right, I will then quickly go back to disable the desktop display. We're just going to be full screen for a second here. All right, guys, thank you very much. It's been a fun stream today. I have gotten a decent amount more done. I would hope just within another week or two of my videos and work on this that we may have the Dumble up and playing. So. We're getting some of the most painful stuff. It does look like I now need to order probably just some replacement resistors for the power tubes. I need to order that, and then from there we'll see where we go. So, all right, everybody, thank you very much. Please subscribe to the channel. Give me comments about what you think should be coming up in new content. Give me a thumbs up, like. If you also, when you subscribe, there's a little bell there. If you don't click that bell, it won't alert you with every video, just some algorithm randomly decides when they should give it to you. So please make sure that you do subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and let me know if there's anything else that you would like. So thanks, everybody. Have a great one.